Today we're going to talk about electric bikes. Why do you want an electric bike? Is it worth the money that you pay for them to have one? Hey, welcome to Tigner Adventures. My name's David, my wife Ninette, and our little cat Tansy. We live full-time in our motorhome. And one of the things that we love to do is we love to go out bike riding. And today we are going to just take a minute and talk about our electric bikes. We've had them for almost a year now, but we haven't actually done a video about them. And some of our subscribers have actually started sending me messages asking for us to actually talk about our electric bikes. So we're going to do that today. I did bring the book out here so I could look at it. This bike that we have, we actually paid $1,340 for it. We actually did that a year ago. They are now $1,440, so they've gone up $100. You can buy them on Amazon. We bought ours at the Arizona marketplace. So if you look here, we have a video. We showed you where we actually purchased these. It comes with a very nice little manual here. It's very easy to read. There's only one mistake that we've really found in it. It's probably in the translation when they were doing something there. They were talking about whether, to get into the programming modes, you push A and V. But on our display here, if you look, we only have plus, M, and minus. Well, come to find out, the A and V, A is plus and V is minus. There's 17 parameters that we can actually program on, using this book, we can program on this display. Now, what I did when I first bought it is I went into programming mode and I made a copy of all the settings the way that they were, all right? And then I went ahead and then I started playing around with it and modifying some of it. But things like you can change is whether it's a 24 volt system or 36 or 48. You're not going to change that because if you look here on this battery, it's a 48 volt battery and it has 13 amp hours. So the 48 you're going to leave alone. But if you want to change it from kilometers to miles, you can make that modification. You can change the luminance on the display. You can change it light or darker. You can also change the speed measuring. So you can change how it's calculating the speed. If it was off or something, you can modify that or whatever. If you can change the size of the tires, but you can also change, as far as your pedal assist, how much assisting it does for each one of the modes. This one actually has 5 modes on it, 5 assist modes. So you can change those modes to, change that a little bit if you prefer to have, your, mode 1 to have a little bit more speed to it. You can increase that. So all of that is programmable using this manual. And it also has a very, very nice schematic of how all the wiring goes. And so I really like that about it too. So this is a great little manual that came with it. Makes it, it's a very, it's definitely a nice little add-on that came with the bike. And so I don't have to always go to the dealer if I don't want to. So for example, if you buy this off of Amazon and you're not going to have any help doing it, then at least it's got a fairly decent manual for you to work with. Now just be aware, when we bought this, the dealer that we bought it from, he put it all together, so we just went and got it just like this. It was all done. But if you ordered off of Amazon, then the front wheel and the front fender have to be put on there when you actually received the bike. You can get them electric bikes for anywhere from about $900, well, probably even lower than that, on up. Now there's 2 different types of drive systems for electric bikes. There's a mid-drive, which is down in the section down here by the sprocket, so it's the middle of the bike. That's a real high-end type drive system, and it's instantaneous. When you start to pedal, it's instant. But then those particular bikes are very expensive. You find those in bike shops, and these bikes that we have, you don't find those in bike shops because they don't want to sell these. They're cheap according to them. It's like, well, that's a cheap bike. Well, I am not going to spend $5,000 and $6,000 for a bike that I want to just ride around and have an enjoyable time on. These bikes, to me, $1,400 ain't cheap, but then again, you know, if you're used to buying $5,000 to $10,000 bikes, then I guess you could consider this cheap. But anyway, back to the mid-drive. Mid-drive bikes, the only place you can really buy those I've seen is just the bike shops, and they're very expensive. And it's really for competition and things like that, or you know, whatever. So just keep that in mind. Most bikes that you buy, most electric bikes that you see are going to be what they call a rear wheel drive. So they're running off the rear wheel. The motor is actually right here on the back wheel. And in this particular case, this is a 750 watt motor. You can find them at all different wattages. I think 750 is probably going to be the highest that you're going to see on these designs. But there are others out there, and 750 watt is new now, so who knows what will happen as time goes on. They'll probably come out with something else. But with that said, this 750 watt motor can go up to, depending on your weight, 35 miles an hour, which is absolutely ridiculous that you want to go that fast on your bike. You for sure can't pedal that fast. And so, you know, we found that we typically on this, we've taken up to as high as we can based on our weight. We get about 28 miles per hour. That's just shooting across a flat, straight parking lot, no obstacles, nobody gonna run us over, whatever, okay? So about 28 miles an hour, but that's still really fast. I definitely would not want to crash on, you know, any of these bikes with, you know, going that fast. So this bike is a folding bike. You can buy them non-folding or folding. It just kind of depends on what you want, how you want to actually carry it around. We purchased this as a folding bike because if you look at this video, we showed you how you could go and how we put this in our car, and we actually put them inside our car and take them around with us as we drive around. And so they're not out in the weather and things like that. That's how we prefer to transport them. But you can buy a piece that will hook on the back of your car if you have a a receiver that can take the hitch, and you can set these on the back of your car and carry them in the back. They just get really dirty that way, but whatever, that's how you can carry them, and so it works out pretty good. So besides folding, this bike has a nice design to it. It's got shock absorbers on it. You can lock them so they don't work, or you can adjust how much of a cushion you have when you're hitting different bumps and things. The fenders are plastic. The handlebars, they fold down, and they have this adjustment right here on the handlebar, so I can move it up and down. And if you look here, I'm sitting on the bike. I'm actually sitting up, and they call this like a beach cruiser type of position. And this is really built on the idea of the old beach cruisers that you'd see people riding around on all the time and just sitting straight up. Now, the reason that we went to this is because I have a difficult time bending my head back. It's just, and it's probably just getting older and things, but it's harder for me to go like this. The reason we bought the step through is because it's harder for me to lean forward and try to get my leg up over the seat, because when I'm riding my bike, I like to have my seat high enough that I can just barely touch the pedals, so my legs completely extend out as I'm riding along. And so because of that, my seat's a lot higher, and it was getting really hard for me to get off of my mountain bike because I had to reach, get my leg to go way up over the seat. And so in our particular case, that it worked out better to get the step-through bikes. And that's what we like about this one. Now, this has a lower step-through than some, so it's very easy just to, as you're coming up to get off, you just kind of just coast on the left pedal, with your foot on the left pedal, and just take your right leg and put right through and step off as you get to the location. So it's very easy to mount and dismount the bike. So the batteries are removable, and they do have a charger that comes with it. So you just plug that in. It just plugs into this little plug right here, and you can plug these. You can charge these with the battery out, or you can charge it with the battery still on the bike itself. Either way, it's got a little lock system right here that when you turn the handle, the key to pull the key out, it actually engages a little pin that locks it into the bike. So you can't actually, it's not like you can walk up and just take it off the bike and take it with you. So when we lock our bikes up, we just run a cable through the bikes. We don't have to worry about the motor, or we don't have to worry about the battery, because they can't get the battery off. They basically have to take the whole bike. And if you take the battery off and store it inside and they steal the bike, these batteries are about $750, $800. So really, the bike's pretty much worthless without the batteries. So just keep that in mind too. But it does have a nice little display up here on top that you can push. It tells you how much battery power you have. But it also, when you're using it, it has the display on the pad, the LCD pad here, that actually shows you, what power level, how much power you're using from the battery, and how much battery power is left, as you're going along. So you can kind of see, where, well, I better start turning around, because I don't want to run my battery to, down to dead. But the farthest that we've gone is probably close to, 24, 25 miles out, and then we've turned around and come back. So we've easily got our 50 miles, and it really kind of just depends on the terrain. But we'll get usually around 50 to 75 miles on each one of these batteries charged up. So they've been really good in that sense, and it works pretty good. It's got disc brakes, and it also has a rear and front light. I like the grips on this too, and the throttle is more like a motorcycle. You can get it where you just turn your wrist, or you can get it where you use your thumb to actually throttle the bike. You can get these bikes with two different kinds of tires. The ones that we went with are these knobby tires, and they work really well on the beach. This summer when we were out by Crescent City, we were riding on the beach all the time, all the way up the Oregon coast. They work really great in the sand. They work good in the sand out here in Arizona. They're nice and knobby. Now on pavement, they're a little noisy, just like these big trucks that put on these big knobby tires. You can hear them whining as they're going down the road. Even in front of our camp here, you hear that little whine or vibration. We get that same thing with these bikes, because we have these big knobby tires on here compared to street type tires that are all smooth. So you can order it with those street smooth tires if you want, or you can get it with the knobby ones. It's kind of up to you which ones you want and what you prefer. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the gearing on this bike. This is like a beach cruiser, and I can easily not even turn the motor on this and ride it around. It's geared in the way that it's easy to start out, and it's easy to pedal. I can go up to, it's got 7 gears that I can switch through, and the 7th gear, if I'm in 7th, I can easily ride around at about 12 miles an hour. And so I like that, because it's easy to start. It's not putting extra pressure on my knees and things, and so I don't even have to have the motor on if I don't want to. As far as the gearing, as far as the motor goes, when the motor's on, it takes about a half a pedal in turn, half pedal around before the motor kicks in. And that's because it's rear wheel. That's how they all are. There's always a little bit of a delay there. And so, I like it how it's easy to start out. The electric bike, you can get those for I think they're 900 and something, as our friends paid that much for them. But they're a lot heavier, they're metal. The gearing was so hard, even in first gear. I had a difficult time starting out and pedaling it. It's just a lot more pressure doing it. It's really meant to really have the motor assisting you, and so if that's the case, that's fine. But I like it if I forget my keys, or I forget to turn it on before I get on. It's like, well, if I'm just riding around the resort here, I can still just jump on and ride, and I don't have to worry about it. It's really easy to pedal. So anyway, so the gearing's a little different. On this one, when we're in 7th gear, we can be in the pedal assist mode 2, which runs around 12 miles per hour, and we can pedal and keep up to that 12 miles an hour with the pedaling. And we typically always pedal when we're riding our bikes. So we don't typically just ride it like a scooter. We always pedal. And so we're getting the exercise. But the difference with a pedal assist is that especially when we are on trails and we come around and there's a hill or something like that, we're not putting all that extra pressure on our knees trying to pedal up a hill. We can just add an extra mode if we need to, and it'll just assist us as we pedal up. So we still pedal the same amount of tension all the way up the hill, and so it's a lot easier on our knees. And a lot of people ask us, well, why don't you just ride a regular bike, you wimp. Especially, when you're riding by young people, they go, pedal that bike, pedal, don't just push the throttle, they're just giving you a hard time. It's like, whatever, dude, leave me alone. So we enjoy these bikes because we actually get out and use them. Our other bikes, we had I had a mountain bike and Ninette had a cruiser, and she loves her cruiser. She loved it. She just barely got rid of it. So we've had it for almost a year. She would go back and forth between them, but it's like, we can't carry all these bikes. We got to get rid of one. So she finally did. But we look at those older bikes that we had. We carried them around with us for 3 years before getting these. And during that 3 years, we figure that, probably exaggerating the number, we may have put 25 miles on them throughout those 3 years. Now, this bike, these bikes that we got now, we've put over 300 miles on them now, and it hasn't even been a year yet. So we have done a lot of riding on these and riding trails, and we've just had a lot of fun. And I think that's what it's all about, is having the fun. So, don't let people give you a bad time whether you're going to have pedal assist or not. I mean, if you want just a scooter, buy a scooter. But if you want to pedal and get the exercise of pedaling and have a bike, then I think an electric bike is a perfect way to go. And it gives you the exercise, and it allows you to go out and do the things that you want. So if we're riding on the old bikes, if we were riding through the forest and we'd come around the corner on one of the roads, and then it's going to start going uphill, it's like, turn around, let's go back. And we would just go back because we didn't want to strain ourselves so much, because in both cases, our knees are having issues, and they can't hike as much as we used to. Well, with these, we just give it an extra little push, and we can pedal up those hills, and things work really well. All right, so if you think that you're interested in an electric bike, I'm telling you that we really love this electric bike, but we tried a few different bikes out before we chose this one. And we even took these on little test drives several times before we actually physically purchased them. So that is my recommendation to you, is try them out. Just don't buy something because it's cheap. So it's a $995 bike. Don't just buy it because it's $995. Okay, try it out, see if you're going to like it. See if you want the step-through version, or you want the other version that's not step-through, the straight bar going across higher so you can't step through. Check those things out ahead of time. Ride somebody else's bikes, get an idea what you like before you spend the money, because once you buy them, it's very difficult to return them. So it's much better if you can try things out ahead of time. Sometimes you can find rental places that are renting a certain brand, and you can try those bikes out. There's a lot of good bikes out there. We like this one. We like the price of this one. Some of the other ones are a lot more expensive, but it's just what you prefer. If you refer back to that first video that I recommended, as far as how we put it in our car, these store in the car very easily. And so that was one of the reasons that we actually bought it, was because it was smaller than a lot of other ones. It was lighter. It was, it had just a lot of characteristics to it that we really liked, because we checked around to see which ones we liked best. So hopefully this is helpful to you. Hopefully you'll look at getting electric bikes. We love them. So anyway, with that said, that's about all I can say about it. If it's something that you're really interested in, then go for it, because they're the coolest thing ever, and you'll get out and actually enjoy the outdoors a lot more. So with that said, we'll just say goodbye for now. Thanks for watching this video. Hopefully that was pretty helpful to you. And if you have any questions about different characteristics of electric bikes in general, feel free to make comments below. We'll be glad to answer those comments. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, consider doing that. It helps us out. We do appreciate you spending time with us, and we know that that's time out of your day, so thanks a lot. We really do appreciate that. So, but anyway, with that said, we'll just plan on hopefully seeing you down the road somewhere. And if not there, then maybe on our next video. So take care.